the Virgin's grisly demise, the Serpent of Hues, and hundreds of skeletons. A terrifying chronicle from the depths of the Saw-Key River. All of you, welcome back to Nguyen Nguyen's channel. Today, we delve deeper into the chilling tales and the colossal spiritual barrier within the enigmatic region of Trang and Ninh Binh. In the previous video, I shared the first 2 chapters of this haunting saga. For those who haven't had the chance to listen, a link is provided in the description below. Today, we embark on the harrowing journey of chapters 3 and 4. Chapter 3 bears the ominous title, The Virgin's Grisly Demise, the Serpent of Hues, and hundreds of skeletons within the submerged spiritual barrier of the Saw-Key River. In the previous video, we introduced 2 pivotal figures, Mr. Lutai Bin, a young entrepreneur, a meditation instructor, and a man with a profound spiritual connection, a sensitivity to the ethereal realm stemming from his past life as a general serving under the reign of King Din Tien Hong over a millennium ago. Our second figure is Mr. Nguyen Van Son, the esteemed chairman of the Trang and Tourism Complex in Ninh Binh and the current custodian of the ancient Trang and region. This third chapter unfolds as a chilling narrative recounted by Mr. Sun, drawn from his own haunting memories during the development of the Trang and tourist destination. According to Mr. Sun, he firmly believes that the spirits of his ancestors guided him through a series of inexplicable events, ultimately leading to the unearthing of a colossal spiritual barrier submerged beneath the Saw-Key River, right at the entrance of Luang Cave. He asserts that this barrier is far more intricate and terrifying than the one found in the Talich River. For those unfamiliar with the Talich River's barrier, numerous feng shui masters believe it was cursed long ago by Chao Bian and the Chinese. I intend to dedicate a separate video to the Talich River for those interested in learning more about its dark history. Returning to our narrative, the first inexplicable encounter that stirred Mr. Sun's psyche involved a woman named Nan, residing a mere 5 kilometers from Trang An. During a gathering of women at the Tran communal house, she approached Mr. Sun and uttered these chilling words. "It is truly you. You are a descendant of General Nguyen Bach. Your ancestors met a gruesome end here. They have chosen you to illuminate this land. This is a place of immense national significance, so ensure that whatever you undertake here is done with utmost reverence." Mr. Sun dismissed this unsettling encounter until 2004, when a renowned psychic, Mrs. H, sought him out in Trang An. He hadn't summoned her. She came of her own volition. Upon meeting Mr. Sun, she confessed, "I am deeply troubled by this land. It teems with restless spirits, their anguish so profound that it has cast a heavy shroud of negative energy over the area." Mr. Sun, taken aback, responded, "Since childhood, I felt a presence following me. When I venture into the forest, I sense someone guiding my path or trailing behind me. I've climbed mountains, slept in caves, and wandered through the wilderness. Yet I've always felt a comforting warmth, never a chilling coldness. Whenever my funds dwindled, like clockwork, money would appear. It's as if a force from the other side, a spectral guardian, has always watched over and protected me." Mrs. H, the psychic, nodded knowingly. "The presence you feel is your ancestors, offering their guidance and support. There are no deities involved. You will find your ancestors, one of whom will manifest as a serpent spirit. If you encounter this entity, your endeavors will flow seamlessly, and prosperity will follow." A year later, in 2005, Mr. Sun encountered the serpent spirit, precisely as the psychic had foretold. During this period, Mr. Sun was personally exploring the caves, capturing photographs, and documenting the unique features of the region to compile a tourism project and showcase its allure. In his younger days, Mr. Sun frequently visited a cave known as Hang Boi to hunt suro. The cave was littered with seashells, and he envisioned it as a captivating tourist attraction, leading him to dedicate significant attention to its preservation. During this time, Mr. Sun and a group ventured into Hang Boi. At the cave's entrance, a peculiar rock formation resembling a throne caught his eye. As he peered closer, he was horrified to find 2 serpents coiled upon it. One was a vibrant crimson, its body thick and its head adorned with a striking pattern. The other, a smaller, emerald green serpent, lay curled, its head resting upon the crimson serpent's back. A chilling memory surfaced. Mr. Sun recalled the tales told by the elders of Trang and village. They recounted stories of encountering a serpent of Hues while venturing into Hang Boi to collect timber and repair the temple dedicated to King Din Tien Hong. One man, Tu Cao, responsible for felling trees in the forest, stumbled upon this enigmatic serpent. He placed a bronze tray before it, and the serpent slithered onto it. The villagers, believing it to be a divine manifestation, brought the Serpent of Hues to the rear chamber of the temple for ceremonial worship. After the rituals concluded, the serpent vanished without a trace, never to be seen again. The elders of Trang and began to refer to it as Ong Lot, a deity disguised as a serpent, overseeing the spiritual affairs of the region. As I mentioned earlier, the ancient land of Trang and was steeped in bloodshed and tragedy. Countless lives were lost during the brutal conflicts between the Din and Le dynasties, leaving the land burdened with sorrow and permeated by a palpable aura of negative energy. Mr. Sun had dismissed the tales of the Serpent of Hues as mere folklore, until that fateful moment when he beheld the two serpents entwined upon the throne-like rock formation. A wave of terror washed over him, his hair standing on end. Regaining his composure, he bowed and pleaded, "If you are a divine presence, allow me to capture your image. If you prefer not to be seen, I implore you to depart." He waited, but the serpents did not move. Mr. Sun rushed home to perform a ritual offering. He had encountered the serpents around 10 a.m., and by the time he returned after completing the ritual, it was 4 p.m. To his astonishment, the serpents remained in their original position. Mr. Sun, with a renewed sense of reverence, bowed once more and requested permission to film them. He began to record. He held a video camera, eager to capture footage of these two snakes. As he filmed, zooming in, magnifying the image, something became horrifyingly clear. Atop one serpent's head pulsed a vibrant, unnatural color, spreading like a malevolent stain. It was a marking so otherworldly, it whispered of creatures thought to exist only in legend. A chill seized him, and he recalled the words of the psychic H. She had spoken of the ancestor of Mr. Sun, manifested as a serpent god, granting an audience, a blessing upon his venture, the Trang and Tourism Project. This was but the first unsettling omen. When Mr. Sun officially commenced the construction and restoration of the Trang and complex, he and his brother, the tycoon Nguyen Xuan Truong, began dredging the rivers, caves, and valleys. Before the dredging began, the psychic H returned, repeatedly claiming visions of a young woman. This girl, she said, had entered the palace at the age of 14 to serve the King Lu's aunt. By 18, her beauty had become so captivating that she was presented to King Lu Daihan, Lu Hoa himself, as a royal concubine. One day, this maiden was bathed in fragrant waters, clothed in white silk, fed delicacies, and given ginseng tea. Everyone assumed she was being prepared to meet the king. Instead, she was drugged and offered as a living sacrifice. After the ritual, she was entombed alive, perishing 100 days later. This grim tale echoes another I shared with you, the legend of the gatekeeper, a ritual binding a virgin's soul to a tomb, creating a spectral guardian. Mr. Sun questioned the psychic, wondering what connection this held to his Trang and development. H explained that she had been visited in a dream by spirits from the past who revealed a hidden treasury of gold, silver, and jewels from the Vo Din era. A sorcerer had employed the virgin sacrifice ritual to seal this treasure. When King Lu ascended, he ordered the excavation of the tomb and claimed the riches. This desecration of the gatekeeper, the virgin's tormented soul, brought chaos to the Lu dynasty. The royal sorcerers then performed a ritual, capturing the maiden's spirit to appease her and bind her to Trangan, a place considered by both the Din and Lu dynasties as the nation's vital point. The Din dynasty entombed her, the Lu unearthed her, unleashing calamity upon the land. King Lu, in desperation, commanded another sorcerer to bind a second soul, sealing the breach. The psychic H's words, a chilling blend of truth and myth, spoke of events centuries past. Mr. Sun listened, but dismissed them, unconvinced. Then, during the dredging of a cave near the Zao-Ki River's mystical nexus, a gruesome discovery was made. A near-perfectly preserved skeleton. 3 strings of ancient coins, dating from the 7th to the 10th centuries, lay beside the remains. The skull rested on intricately carved wooden discs. The teeth, remarkably unworn, suggested a young age. Archaeologists confirmed it was a female, tall, slender, and strikingly beautiful, approximately 17 or 18 years old, aligning perfectly with the psychic's vision. A respectful burial was arranged, but a creeping dread began to consume Mr. Sun. The psychic's pronouncements were proving unerringly accurate. Following the cave's excavation, the dredging of the Zao-Ki River commenced. 150 brand new dredging machines lined the river where it flowed through Chang'an. Then the inexplicable began. Machines sputtered, stalled, and died without warning. Mr. Sun repeatedly summoned the supplier for repairs, but a disturbing pattern emerged. Once removed from the Zao-Ki River, from Chang'an, the machines functioned flawlessly. The supplier, baffled, reported this to Mr. Sun, who was left with a growing sense of unease. One day, a machine operating perfectly abruptly ceased. A sudden premonition gripped Mr. Sun, and he ordered workers to search the riverbed. They dredged up a skull, followed by a complete human skeleton. A grim realization dawned upon Mr. Sun. Any inexplicable mechanical failure meant human remains lay beneath. He believed that wherever bones were found in the Zao-Ki River, a dark enchantment held sway. These sacred, cursed locations caused these strange phenomena, even crippling machinery. The most terrifying incident involved a high-tech dredging vessel imported from Finland by Swan Truong's company. 2 were purchased, one for Baidin, the other for Chang'an. These exorbitantly priced vessels, marvels of modern engineering, were electronically controlled, designed to pulverize and remove debris. Yet, just a few hundred meters from the Luang Cave entrance, the Chang'an vessel shuddered to a halt. Mr. Sun dispatched workers to investigate, suspecting submerged remains, but they found nothing. Even specialists from Haiphong port were brought in, but after months of toil, the vessel remained inert. Its immense size made removal from the river a monumental task. Finally, Mr. Sun devised a desperate solution. Swap the engines between the Chang'an and Baidin vessels. Then, another bizarre event unfolded. As the engine was lifted from the Chang'an vessel, the infernal machine worked flawlessly at Baidin. Ran like a dream, you know? But down there, in the bowels of that dredge on the Chang'an silence, dead as a tomb, months they toiled, those wretched mechanics from Haiphong, their faces smeared with grease and despair. They wrestled with that cursed engine, their tools clattering like the bones of the damned, but it was no use. They gave up, those poor souls, their hope as shattered as a dropped skull. And so the company, in desperation, they reached out across the ocean, summoned a sorcerer of engineering from the frozen wastes of Finland, a master of machines, they said, to breathe life back into their metal carcass. This icy warlock, he arrived, and the first thing he saw was the dredge, coated in a foul, black mire. They say his eyes burned like hellfire, and a torrent of curses, dark and ancient, poured from his lips. $1 million machine, he roared, defiled by this unholy muck. This will not stand. It's this filth, he shrieked, this vile mud seeping into its heart, that has poisoned the machine. Cleanse it, he commanded. Purify it with the tears of 1,000 angels. And so they scrubbed, those terrified laborers, until the dredge gleamed like a bone picked clean by vultures. But even after this unholy baptism, the engine remained stubbornly silent. The Finn, his face a mask of grim determination, probed the electronic entrails of the machine. But he found nothing, no sign of corruption, no trace of mechanical decay. Replace the heart, he finally bellowed, his voice echoing like a death knell. Perhaps its essence is tainted, its spirit broken. They swapped the engines then, the one from the Chang'an dredge with the one from Baidin, a desperate last-ditch gamble. And a chilling truth emerged. The Baidin engine roared to life, a monstrous symphony of gears and pistons, while the Trangan engine remained a lifeless husk, a monument to failure. All hope seemed lost, extinguished like a candle in a crypt. Then, on a day when the sky wept tears of despair, Mr. Sun, the foreman, he performed a ritual. A grotesque feast laid out on the deck of the dredge, offerings to appease the spirits, incense swirling like a shroud. The Finn, that man of science, he scoffed. His people, they trusted only in gears and levers, not in phantoms and whispers. But Mr. Sun, he knew there were forces beyond our understanding, lurking in the shadows. And then, a miracle, a sign from the abyss. As Mr. Sun finished his dark prayer, the engine sputtered, coughed, and then roared to life, the dredge shuddering like a beast awakened from a nightmare. The Finn, his eyes wide with disbelief, stared like a man who had seen the gates of hell open before him. The workers, they prostrated themselves before Mr. Sun, hailing him as a sorcerer, a conduit to the other side. But their triumph was short-lived. The dredge, it worked for but half a day, dredging a mere 10 meters of riverbed before falling silent once more. They tinkered, they pleaded, but the machine remained stubbornly dormant. Mr. Sun was summoned again, his face etched with grim understanding. "There is something down there," he whispered, his voice heavy with dread. "Something ancient, something vengeful. The machine's failure, it is a warning from powers beyond our comprehension." He ordered a halt to the dredging, demanding they drain the river, excavate the riverbed, claw through the mud and secrets of the Zao Key. Thousands of bamboo stakes, timbers like the ribs of a leviathan, were driven into the riverbed, sandbags piled high to hold back the encroaching water. And after a week of backbreaking toil, digging with their hands like gravediggers, they found it. A skull, unearthed beneath the very nose of the dredge, 3 meters down, buried in the cold, dark embrace of the riverbed. Mr. Sun, his face pale as bone, nodded grimly. This was the source of their torment, the reason for the machine's cursed silence. He had foreseen it, he claimed, but the workers, in their haste, had not dug deep enough, had not listened to the whispers of the river. And just as he had prophesied, once the skull was brought ashore, given a proper burial, a ritual cleansing the dredge roared back to life, as if nothing had ever been amiss. But the skull itself whispered of ancient mysteries. Buried deep in the oxygen-starved mud, it had been preserved, untouched by the ravages of time, a ghastly relic of a forgotten age. Experts were called, scholars of bones and whispers, their faces etched with fascination and fear. The skull, they proclaimed, was large, well-formed, the skull of a man of intellect, of power, perhaps even a warrior, a general from a bygone era. But there was a chilling detail. The skull was alone. No other bones, no skeleton to accompany it, just this solitary sentinel of the past. Mr. Sun, he heard this news with a growing unease. To bury a soul incomplete, to leave it fragmented, it was an invitation to chaos, to further misfortune. He feared they had not appeased the spirit fully, that its restless essence would continue to haunt them. He ordered a wider excavation, a frantic search for the missing remains. But after weeks of digging, they found nothing. The skull remained alone, a silent testament to a forgotten tragedy. Convinced it belonged to a warrior, a man of power, Mr. Sun ensured it was laid to rest with the utmost respect. A team of undertakers, their faces grim, prepared a burial fit for a king. A green coffin, draped in crimson cloth, was procured. Mr. Sun himself performed a final ritual, a plea for peace, for the tormented spirit to find solace. The skull was then carried to a carefully chosen resting place, a section of the graveyard reserved for those whose deaths were unusual. The same ground where, centuries ago, a maiden had been laid to rest, her spirit bound by the decree of a long-dead emperor. The mystery of the skull faded, overshadowed by the discovery of dozens more skeletons unearthed during the dredging of the Zao Key. But then, one day, a phone call shattered the uneasy peace. A man, identifying himself as Nguyen Van No, from the distant province of Binh Dinh, claimed to be a descendant of General Nguyen Bach, a warrior who had served the Dinh dynasty centuries ago. He had fallen in battle against the forces of Lu Hong, the founder of the subsequent Lu dynasty. This man, he questioned Mr. Sun, his voice trembling with hope and dread. Had they found the skull of General Nguyen Bach at Trangin? A fortune teller, he claimed, had revealed that the general's skull had been found. Mr. Sun, he denied any knowledge, his mind racing back to the skull, to the dredge cursed by its presence. Then, another call, this time from a woman known for her sensitivity to the unseen. She claimed to have visited the Tran Quoc Pagoda, where she received a message of vision. General Nguyen Bach, she whispered, had been executed by the Lu dynasty, his head severed, displayed as a gruesome trophy, and then cast into the river. His body had been recovered by his family, given a proper burial, but his skull, it had been lost for 1,000 years. Now she claimed it had been found. She urged Mr. Sun to investigate, to see if anyone at Trang and had unearthed a solitary skull. And it was then that Mr. Sun's blood ran cold. He remembered the skull, the one that had silenced the Finnish dredge for months, the one they had buried with such care. But the dredging of the Zao Qi had unearthed a multitude of secrets, a torrent of bones and whispers. A chilling wind whispers through the desolate expanse of Trang-en. Excavations there unearthed a multitude of skeletal remains, a macabre tapestry woven into the very fabric of the earth. So numerous were the interred, their final resting places a chaotic jumble, that recalling any specific location proved a torment. It was then that Sun, in hushed tones, consulted Tam, the grim captain of the remains retrieval team. Tam, his voice a rasping echo, confirmed the existence of a singular, gruesome discovery. A solitary skull, devoid of any other skeletal accompaniment, a spectral sentinel in the silent earth. That day, Sun, Tam, and the descendants of General Nguyen Bach gathered in the haunted graveyard of Trang and village. The sheer number of graves overwhelmed Tam, his memory shrouded in a funereal fog. In a desperate act, he unearthed 8 graves at random, each revealing fully intact skeletons, a morbid mockery of his search. Sun, his voice tight with dread, implored Tam to cease his frantic exhumations. He spoke of a growing fear, a premonition that even if they were to upturn the entire graveyard, their quest would remain fruitless. Sun then undertook the grim task of clearing the overgrown vegetation from the graves, a macabre act of reverence. He lit incense, whispered prayers, and then, seized by an uncanny intuition, pointed towards the 3rd grave in the first row, shrouded beneath a curtain of withered bamboo. Upon excavation, a horrifying truth was revealed. A single skull, wrapped in crimson cloth, lay preserved within a ceramic vessel, a ghastly relic staring back from the abyss of time. Convinced that this was the skull of General Nguyen Bach, Sun reverently transported the remains to the mountaintop, where a tomb was constructed and a shrine erected. Thus concludes the 3rd chilling chapter in this saga of supernatural dread, the tale of the cursed geomantic formation within the Sao Qi River in Trang and Ninh Ben. We now delve into the 4th and final chapter, a descent into the excavation of hundreds of skeletal remains and the harrowing journey of a mysterious Hanoi shaman to dispel the malevolent geomantic formation. As I've recounted, the dredging of the Sao Qi River and Trang and unearthed a plethora of unsettling phenomena, each incident more terrifying than the last, sending shivers down the spines of even the most hardened souls. However, it was only when the machinery approached the entrance of Luang Cave, the suspected locus of the cursed geomantic formation, that the full extent of its sinister power became horrifyingly clear. Sun, his voice burdened by years of chilling encounters, spoke of his lifelong connection to the haunted land of Trang-en. He had witnessed countless strange occurrences, but reflecting upon recent events, he was convinced that the spirits of his ancestors were guiding him, step by chilling step, through the labyrinthine secrets of Trang-en's depths. The discovery of the geomantic formation, he believed, was no accident, but a preordained revelation orchestrated by the spectral hands of the departed. Upon encountering the formation, Sun was overcome by a profound and unsettling sensation. He felt a compelling responsibility to safeguard this sacred and haunted location. He described the Sao Qi River of old, a mighty torrent, its waters deep and treacherous, unlike the shallow, diminished stream of today. During the flood season, the waters of the Day River would surge into the Sao Ki, creating a raging current. The only access to Chang'an was by water, through the Sao Ki River and into the ominous maw of Luang Cave. Surrounded by towering, treacherous mountains, it was a natural fortress, easily defended, difficult to conquer, and the chosen site for the establishment of the Din and early Lu dynasties. Luang Cave itself is a marvel of nature, its roof low, so low that boatmen often brushed their heads against the stone. Yet, its width of approximately 60 meters allowed for the unimpeded passage of countless vessels. As Sun guided his boat to the cave's entrance, he paused, his finger tracing the small carvings etched into the cliff face, just beneath the cave's roof. He spoke of a time when birds nested within the crevices of the rock, and he, along with the village children, would swim below, hurling mud at the nests, causing the fledglings to fall into the river, where they were collected and raised. It was through this childhood pastime that he first discovered the enigmatic carvings, though their meaning remained shrouded in mystery. Only when the dredging of Luang Cave was plagued by a series of unsettling events did Sun turn his attention back to these cryptic markings. He consulted ancient texts, meticulously studying the carvings, and discovered that such symbols were often used in ancient rituals of geomantic sealing, appeasement, and the liberation of tormented souls. In his research, Sun came into possession of an ancient tome belonging to Pham Van Ghi, a patriotic scholar from the reign of Emperor Tu Duc. The book contained a detailed description of the Sao Ki River and Luang Cave. According to the text, the Sao Ki River was originally named Tao Ki, after the sacred Tao Ki River of China. Ki referred to the river's serpentine path through the mountain crevices. The ancient text described the Sao Ki River as Tu Hong Long, the small yellow dragon, while the Hong Long River was referred to as Dai Hong Long, the great yellow dragon. The Sao Ki River drew water from the Day River, winding through caves and mountain passes before emptying into the Hong Long River. The ancient text also identified Luang Cave as the most critical point in the Sao Ki River's dragon vein, the very heart of the small yellow dragon. It was for this reason that Lord Trin Sam, upon visiting the site, commissioned the inscription of a poem on the cliff face at the entrance of Luang Cave. A psychic named Hak, upon visiting Luang Cave, corroborated this information, providing a chillingly detailed description of the geomantic formation beneath the riverbed. According to Sun, every detail of Hak's vision was later confirmed during the excavation. Hak also described the geomantic sealing rituals performed during the reigns of the Din and Lu dynasties. Before each military campaign, the emperors would conduct ceremonies at Luang Cave. Upon returning victorious, they would again perform rituals, releasing lanterns, golden candles, and flowers onto the Sao Ki River, allowing them to drift through Luang Cave and into the Hong Long River. Several feng shui experts, consulted by Sun, studied the carvings, creating rubbings to analyze. Their initial findings revealed that the carvings depicted a celestial pagoda, the release of fish, a lotus platform, a Taoist flame, and talismans. These markings were concentrated on the rock face at the entrance of Luang Cave. Based on their weathering, the experts concluded that the carvings were of considerable antiquity. The celestial pagoda carvings were particularly intricate, depicting a flame beneath the pagoda's base, floating upon the water's surface. This imagery represented a ritual for the appeasement of soldiers who had sacrificed their lives for their country. The fish symbolized the release of life in the appeasement ritual. The most enigmatic carving depicted a talisman. Beneath it was a wooden plank, and above it, a figure kneeling, offering a censer. Above the figure were depictions of the sun and 5 cups. This was an ancient talisman used for geomantic sealing and the pacification of restless spirits. After a year of clandestine research, combining spiritual insights, psychic visions, and scientific analysis, Sun was convinced that the riverbed beneath Luang Cave concealed the nation's vital energy point, the location of the geomantic formation. The psychic Hak claimed that the area was haunted by countless restless spirits due to the numerous lives sacrificed there. These tormented souls sought to ensnare the living, which explained the countless tragic drownings that had occurred in the area. Hak warned Sun to proceed with extreme caution. After performing the necessary rituals, the shaman they summoned them, called to the spirits. On a day deceptively clear and bright, Sun rallied his workers, a human dam against the river, silencing its flow. And Sun remembered. He recounted a tale of chilling revelation, a story etched in the year 2010. As the laborers scraped away the surface mud, barely a meter deep, the dreadful truth was unearthed. The containment, the binding ritual revealed in all its horrific glory. Sun, and every soul who witnessed the unearthing, felt an icy dread, a sweat-soaked terror. For the spectral prison of the Talich Rivera, few meager bones hinted at its devastating toll, whispered of lives stolen, a nation shaken. And here, merely peeling back the watery mud, a horrifying mosaic of skeletal remains emerged, grotesquely perfect, fully intact, each skeleton contorted in a final, silent scream, a tableau of agony and unjust ends. Their very posture shrieked a truth more terrifying than a simple grave. These were not laid to rest. They were buried alive. That same year, at the mouth of Luang Cave, the people of Trang and bore witness to a spectacle that would forever haunt their waking hours. 10 funerary jars, borne into the mountain's embrace. Rituals performed, incense swirling its deceptive veil of peace. Sun's grim task force, charged with gathering the remains, toiled relentlessly from dawn till dusk, day after agonizing day. This was no mere undertaking. It was an exhumation of the nation's darkest secrets. Sun himself, consumed by this dreadful duty, led the ceremonies, his own hands peeling back the earth, bone by bone, an intimacy with death few could endure. He allowed them to delve only another meter into the earth's cold grip, expanding their search a mere 30 square meters. That limited excavation yielded over 40 complete skeletons, each bone a testament to lives cut short, a grotesque jumble of remains, a mountain of agony. The team, unable to sort the shattered lives, simply piled them into the waiting jars. 6 massive funerary urns, crammed with the remnants of forgotten souls, destined for a mass grave. It was then that Sun, accompanied by a journalist and a woman named Hung, navigated the treacherous waters of Luang Cave, venturing deep into the mountain's shadowed heart. He led them to the village cemetery of Trang An, where he had constructed a vast sepulchre beside the existing graves, nestled against the mountain's uncaring face. There, he interred hundreds of shattered lives, exhumed from the depths of Luang Cave. 40 individual graves, a testament to individual suffering, and 6 mass graves, each monstrous jar imprisoning at least 10 souls. According to Sun, this macabre harvest was but a sliver of the truth. A single point in the river's malevolent web had yielded this horrific bounty. To widen the search, to delve deeper, was to invite an avalanche of agony. 1,000 more skeletons clawing their way from the earth's cold embrace. And John, a harbinger of sorrow, spoke a truth that chilled the blood. Most of the bones unearthed at Luang Cave belonged to the young, predominantly women. Their skeletal structures, long and robust, shattered the illusion of a frail ancient people. The Vietnamese of the Dinh and Lu dynasties, it seemed, were giants towering over their modern descendants. And then the discovery that clawed at the edges of sanity. Sun unearthed infant skulls, tiny remnants of lives barely begun. Their delicate bones, ravaged by time, leaving only these haunting echoes. Did the ancients offer children as sacrifices to appease the river's dark hunger? A question that gnawed at Sun's soul, a chilling mystery with no easy answers. Beyond the mountains of human remains, Sun unearthed a treasure trove of death. Elephant bones, the skeletal remains of horses, the spectral remnants of tigers, and an arsenal of forgotten weapons. The sheer weight of ancient coins he recovered was staggering, nearly 100 weight. Coins from every era, layers of history compressed into metal, dominated by currency from the northern domination. A chilling reminder of Chinese rule. Sun, a reluctant curator of suffering, became arguably Vietnam's foremost collector of ancient coins. His hoard contained rarities that eluded even the National Museum. He displayed a fraction of these spectral tokens at Chang'an, a curated glimpse into the past's dark heart. The rest, he secreted away or offered as appeasement in countless rituals, hoping to placate the restless spirits. Sun, haunted by his grim discoveries, delved into the rituals of the past. He learned that the ancients orchestrated their horrific bindings through the insidious use of drugs. Their victims, rendered helpless, were bound to wooden pillars, their bodies adorned with talismans, before being cast into the waiting earth. Elephants, horses, tigers all were subdued with poisoned arrows, then entombed alive, their silent screams echoing through the ages. The binding rituals demanded specific elements: wood, humans, horses, elephants, snakes, 5 precious metals, and 5 grains: rice, corn, millet, cassava, and beans. Sun found chilling evidence of each within the river's grim embrace. At the very bottom of the Zhaoqi River, beneath the shadowed mouth of Luang Cave, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of suffering he unearthed, the sheer weight of the past, Sun constructed a shrine, a sanctuary of sorrow, a testament to the river's countless victims. 2 years later, a mysterious shaman emerged from the shadows, solidifying Sun's conviction that he was the chosen guardian of Chang'an's potent, spectral heart. It began with Ben, the first to weep at this cursed place. After his departure, a shaman materialized, as if summoned by the river's anguish. It was a morning in the second lunar month of 2012. Sun, ever vigilant at ancient Chang'an, noticed a figure, not a mere tourist, but something other. He paced restlessly, his gaze fixed on the landscape, dissecting its secrets with unnerving intensity. Sun, sensing a power in the man's presence, invited him for tea. He knew that those who scrutinized the land with such fervor possessed an unseen authority, a connection to forces beyond mortal comprehension. "The land of Hoa Luang holds no secrets from me," Sun declared. "Ask what you will." The enigmatic stranger remained silent, requesting only that Sun guide him through the surrounding mountains. They ascended to a lofty peak, the stranger's gaze sweeping across the vista, piercing the veil of reality. "This," he proclaimed, "is the Ha." Sun, bewildered, sought clarification. The stranger, patient in his pronouncements, explained, "Sai signifies main. As in the main river, the dominant force. Ha is the earth itself." The stranger pointed to each peak, weaving a tapestry of power. 100 sacred mountains bow their heads to this place, he revealed. Where the Zhaoqi River flows through Luang Cave, he spoke with chilling certainty, echoing Sun's own years of research, revealing truths Sun had never uttered. The stranger then requested a journey along the Zhaoqi River. As they drifted through the shadowed waters, Sun consulted another spiritualist, seeking confirmation of the stranger's pronouncements. The spiritualist's voice, trembling with awe, confirmed their location, the nation's very heart of darkness. At Luang Cave, the stranger produced a pendulum. It spun wildly, as if caught in a vortex of unseen energy, a tangible manifestation of the river's malevolent power. This guest introduced himself as Hues, a practitioner of esoteric tantric Buddhism. He claimed that the yang meridian of the nation resided in Tanglong, but the location of the yin meridian remained shrouded in an impenetrable mystery. Generations of Vietnamese sorcerers had sought its location, their searches proving fruitless. Hues himself, 3 years prior, had been visited by a chilling omen in a dream, a spectral command urging him to unearth the nation's hidden yin aperture. After a hushed exchange, Hues bid farewell to Mr. Sun, embarking on a journey back to Hanoi. 2 months later, Hues returned with 50 disciples, seeking Mr. Sun's guidance on a location to conduct a grand, purifying ritual. According to Hues, the Chang'an region was the nation's yin aperture, a locus of immeasurable suffering, a place where countless souls had perished unjustly since the age of Hong Bang and Olak, reaching its horrific zenith during the Din and early Lu dynasties. A ritual of cleansing was desperately needed, a spiritual balm to soothe the tormented spirits trapped within this cursed land. Hues insisted on performing the rite alone, refusing any assistance from Mr. Sun. 2 days later, on the morning of April 22nd, a spectral procession of vehicles materialized at the gates of the ancient Trang and tourist site. Hue emerged, flanked by hundreds of devotees. 2 trucks, laden with offerings, 500 trays of sticky rice, 500 trays of plain rice, 500 sticky rice cakes, 500 square cakes, each the size of a platter, formed a macabre caravan. The sheer volume of these ceremonial provisions was staggering. 1,500 liters of water, transported in 20-liter jugs from Tanglong, accompanied the procession. The sorcerer proclaimed the waters of Hoa Lu to be poisoned, a consequence of generations of regicide, necessitating the use of water from Tanglong. A 4-sided altar was erected on the riverbank, beneath the spectral gaze of the boats. The devotees commenced their ritual at 7:30 a.m., continuing until 11:30 a.m. After a midday respite, the purification rites resumed. Hue invoked the spirits of ancient monarchs, from Nduong Vong and Lak Long Quan to the rulers of the Din and Lu dynasties, summoning their spectral legions to bear witness. At 6:30 p.m., as twilight descended, an unearthly radiance crowned the summit of Hang Luan Mountain, casting an eerie glow upon the assembled throng. Undeterred, the devotees continued their chanting until 11 p.m. It is whispered that at midnight, an ethereal moonlight, reminiscent of a ghost story, bathed the mountain, spilling into the valley below and penetrating the depths of Hang Luan Cave, illuminating 1,000 rings of flowers adorned with flickering candles. As dawn approached, the arduous purification rites concluded. The devotees divided the remaining offerings into 4 portions. One was consigned to the Saw Ki River, another was offered within Hang Luan Cave, amidst the 1,000 rings of candlelit flowers. The destination of the remaining 2 offerings, and the manner of their disposal, remain unknown, lost to the shadows of Hue's secrecy. In early March 2013, Hue and his disciples returned to ancient Trang En, performing another cleansing ritual within Hang Luan Cave. This time, the ceremony was less elaborate. The number of disciples diminished. A portion of the offerings was left within the cave, while the remainder was scattered across Dam Bridge, Cot Bridge, and several locations along the Day River in Hanam Province. Later, during a rare moment of candor, Hue recounted a disturbing experience from early 2012, before his initial visit to ancient Trang En. While in a state of deep meditation, hovering between wakefulness and slumber, he was visited by the spectral figure of Queen Duong Van Na, weeping inconsolably. In the days that followed, these unsettling dreams persisted, culminating in a visitation from King Din Tien Hong himself. The spectral monarch spoke of a desolate aperture, a place where the weight of injustice had festered for millennia. Haunted by these visions, Hue and a disciple journeyed to the ancient capital of King Din in Hoa Lu, Ninh Binh Province, seeking answers within the land itself. Their search throughout Trang and yielded nothing. However, upon their return, as they detoured through ancient Trang En, a chilling realization struck Hue. He discovered Hang Luan Cave, where the Saw Ki River flowed through the heart of a stone mountain. The cave's entrance resembled the gaping maw of a monstrous dragon, the cave itself its throat. 5 surrounding peaks, like ominous jewels, guarded this unsettling gateway. Compelled by an unseen force, Hue ascended to the mountaintop. From this vantage point, he counted 100 peaks, rising in layers from Hanam to Tam Deep and Diem Sun, all seemingly bowing before the entrance of Hang Luan Cave. Imagine 100 towering peaks converging upon a single, small cave entrance. Even without Hue's esoteric knowledge, anyone with a rudimentary understanding of feng shui would recognize the significance of ancient Trang En, particularly the entrance to Hang Luan Cave, a major acupuncture point of the Earth's energy. Later, through his research into ancient texts, Hue confirmed that during the reigns of King Din Tien Hong and the early Lu dynasty's Lu Dai Han, rituals were performed at this location after every military campaign and triumphant return. However, this was an aperture, beneficial only for burial sites. While the kings who ruled from this location initially flourished, their reigns were tragically short-lived. Consider the fates of King Din Tien Hong and the early Lu dynasty, despite their victory over the Song army. Their time was fleeting. King Lai Tai Tu was the first to recognize this ominous pattern, prompting his decision to move the capital from Hoa Lu to Tang Long. Tang Long was the true Yang aperture of Vietnam, a place where a capital city could thrive. According to Hues, the great aperture of Hang Luan Cave and the Sa Ki River formed a colossal, perilous, spiritual trap. Generations of tormented souls, their anguish layered like sediment, filled this cursed place. Through a spiritual lens, this cycle of suffering, of betrayal and fratricide, explained the region's blighted history. The ritual of cleansing, of offering solace to the trapped spirits, was deemed essential, a desperate attempt to dissipate the oppressive energy and allow the land to flourish. Hues further claimed that Trang En was a nexus of Vietnam's spiritual energy, a sacred site since time immemorial. King Din had harnessed this power to establish the nation. The Sa Ki River was a sacred artery, yet it was choked with the weight of injustice. The rituals performed, while vital, were merely the first steps in a long and arduous process of healing. The work would continue for years to come. And so concludes this chilling tale of the cursed aperture, trapped within a spectral 8-trigram formation at the mouth of Hang Luan Cave on the Sa Ki River in ancient Trang En, Ninh Binh. Now, let's delve a bit deeper into this. As far as I'm aware, there are only 2 locations in Vietnam considered to possess the nation's dragon veins. One is in Tang Long, along the Lich River. The other is in the Trang En region. I find this story incredibly compelling, though it's not as well known as the tale of the trapped dragon vein at the Lich River, sealed by a magical formation created by Chow Bien, the Chinese governor of Vietnam during the Tang dynasty. I recall reading about the Lich River incident in a newspaper, perhaps Thoi Su Phap Lut, though I can't be certain. I distinctly remember. It was over a decade ago, I think, that I first encountered that story. The entire Nguyen family read it too. But this one about Trang and I only unearthed it a few months ago. It's not as well known. But this one I truly savor. It also delves into strange, horrific events. It's no less unsettling than the tale of the Lich River. And through these dark narratives I discover more historical milestones and more multifaceted perspectives on our nation's history. If you find this compelling, I will craft a video about the Lich River's warding ritual. This concludes our encounter for now. These are my first ventures into this realm. I crave your approval. Like, share, and especially click that subscribe button. And the little bell beside it. Show your support. Your likes, your shares, your subscriptions, your bell ringing fuel me. They give me the vitality to create more videos to share more of these haunting tales. You see, I usually begin crafting these at 9 in the evening, when the world outside has fallen silent. The veil of night, it helps me focus. A video of about an hour takes me from 9 until 2 or 3 in the morning. And then I edit. 9 in the morning. A full 12 hours. Then I can finally sleep. So I implore you, support me. Like, share, comment, and most importantly, click that subscribe button and the little bell. And if you possess any intriguing stories, send them to me. This channel, it's for storytelling, not reading. So I'll share them in a more intimate style. We'll connect. And as I narrate, I can explain the words, the terminology as I understand it. Now farewell. Until our next meeting.